My friends, the older I get, the more important it is to me to not only be personally making an impact in the world, but that my business can actually continue to make an impact on our customers' lives, on our students' lives, that the community and the culture live on long after I'm gone. And so, you know, whether that is because I have passed on the torch to my kiddos, or sold it to somebody else actually in the organization. My goal is really now to leave a legacy. And so, in this week's episode, I'm going to dive into, and we're going to dive into together, what it means really for you to leave behind a legacy. And if that's actually a driving force for you in your business. And so, my friends, if you're new here, I'm Erin Bird. So nice to meet you. And I support dance studio owners and educators to really grow their businesses without the burnout, the overwhelm, or sacrificing their personal life. Because the truth is, you actually don't have to. You get to decide and you get to create the business, the life, and the legacy of your dreams. So if you're joining me, say, hey, Erin, what's up? Let me know that you're here. I always want to know who is with me when I come on live every single week. I was just thinking about, we are approaching the 100th episode of the Erin Bird Live Show, which is happening, I believe, next week, which is bananas, my friends. I have come on and shared for 100 times now in a row. And I think that's something to be celebrated because you know how I love to celebrate the wins. So just know that I'm sure next week there may be an extra celebration involved. That's all that I'll say. So if you're joining me, say, hey, Erin, what's up? That I want to know. And if you come back in on the replay, I want to know that as well. We will continue the conversation. This is a conversation, my friends. This is not about me just, I actually want to talk to you, have a conversation about this topic today, about creating a legacy. So, my friends, say hello and we will have a little chat here. And my friends, if you'd like a copy of today's show notes, just drop the word show notes below and we will make sure to get those over to you. All right. So let's go ahead and really, now that we've gotten through all those formalities, the introductions, let's go ahead and dive into the topic today at hand. What does legacy actually mean to you? What does it mean to you? I would have to say that prior to being a mama, prior to, having multiple businesses, I wasn't actually thinking about legacy. And so, good morning. Let me say good morning to you. I'm going to start singing. I sing that to my kids in the morning to annoy them. Okay, talk about legacy, traditions, right? My stepdad used to come into our rooms in the morning if we hadn't gotten up, like with the alarm or whatever, and he would sing this little song that he made up, and now I do it to my kids when they're not getting out of bed. Legacy, tradition, hey. But anywho, so topic at hand, Erin. Topic at hand. I am going to try to stay on topic today. What does legacy mean to you? I need to know, right? Now I could share with you like the definition and all of that, but really, at the end of the day, I'm getting pop-ups. At the end of the day, when we're talking about, my goodness, all these pop-ups for reminders for this live. Okay. So when we're building a legacy, sometimes I think about long after I'm gone, what will people say about me and the way that I made them feel? There's that piece. And then there's also the piece of, my business? What is my business doing? And how is my business going to live on once I am gone? So then I can continue to serve people, right? Even if I'm gone, the business is still continuing to serve. The vision is still being upheld. And how am I continuing to turn my little pebble into a ripple and into a tsunami? And even once I'm gone. Because one of the things that became very apparent to me when my father passed away was that you can continue to do good once you are gone. And that comes through like who you are, who you're showing up as, reminding, and now I remind myself like how much time do I actually have left on this earth, which might sound a little ugh, but the truth is that we don't know how much time we have left on this earth, and we should be using this time accordingly to serve, to be kind, to really show up and to support, right? And so for me, that is a big part of creating a legacy. Good morning, Vicki. I'm so happy to see you. So, what does building a legacy mean to you? Because it means different things to different people. And so, I really am going to talk right now about building and creating your business legacy. We could talk more about our personal legacies later on, but most of the time when y'all come here, it's really to talk about our businesses. And so, what does that mean? And so, when we're thinking about creating our business legacy, the first thing that we absolutely have to do is plan for the future. If we are so stuck in the reactive and like just muddling through, all putting out fires all the time, and we're not actually planning for the future, you cannot create a legacy that will continue to live on because you're so worried about the now that you're not thinking about the future. And so planning for the future, and I tell people to plan for the future from the get-go if you can, but if you're in the middle of it right now, the biggest thing is to take a pause and say, what is it that I actually want when the time comes, right? I'm planning for the future. And so we're going to dive into a little bit more about what does that look like. But we absolutely have to plan for the future, right? And really getting clear on what it is that your vision is, your mission is, and what you want your business to do for your community and for the world. Okay. So the next thing that we need to do is once we've gotten really clear about what we want for our business, if we want a legacy, if we want our business to live on after we are removed from it, whether we're going to talk about how that might be, but what is it that we want? Then we actually have to create a succession plan. Now, my friends, this is just saying, like, what is it that you want to happen when it's time to pass the torch? And some of the things that you should really consider is who will run the business after you, or how will the successor be chosen? Now, like I said, unfortunately, my father passed away very unexpectedly and at an early age. And we hadn't necessarily had all the full out conversations about a succession plan and who that would be, how that would be chosen. And that was really hard, if I'm being really honest with you, because we all had certain feelings about how things should go, and they weren't all in alignment. So creating the succession plan is really important. How the ownership of the business will be passed on to the successor. So things like, are they purchasing it? Or is it being gifted to them? Is there what are some of the things, like what would tax implications be for you, right? And how do you want to deal with them? And stipulations regarding ownership. So, does ownership have to pass on to a family member, or can it be a non-family member, right? These are all things to think about and to get clear on and to document in writing, so there is no, like, everyone's on the same page. Yeah? Okay. So once you've planned for the future, once you've created a succession plan, then this is where things get really good and really important, right? We have to set up the business to run on its own without you. Now, I already can hear some people, but Erin, I love being, I don't want to not be actively involved in my business while I'm still part of the business. I want to teach classes. I love teaching all the competition dances. I love da. I am not telling you that you cannot be an active participant in your business. What I'm saying is that you create the systems, the team, and the support to run without you, even if you are not there. So if you love teaching the comp dances, fine, amazing, but who can take your place in that role and know exactly what to do to continue the mission, the vision of the business, and having a plan and training them to take over that role? So we are setting ourselves up for success through systems, through mentorship, through our leadership. It does not mean you have to 100% remove yourself from the business to create a legacy or to be ready to pass off the torch, okay? But you do have to set up your business to run on its own. Because, again, life is short. A, we don't know what will happen. B, if you do not have these systems in place, you will have family members who are scrambling, trying to pick up the pieces, figure things out, to at least muddle through the rest of the season, muddle through how do we keep all these people employed, right? And do we want to pass that burden on to anyone? No, right? So it is best practices to have all of your systems out of your head, in writing, have SOPs prepared, and train people on how to do them. Okay? We have to set up the business to run on its own, because unfortunately, if something happens and you have those people, they will not be able to continue your business the way that you have envisioned if you have not given them the roadmap to do so. Unfortunately. Okay? Now, this next thing I'm going to tell you goes back to successors. If you have someone in mind that you would love to be your successor, you need to speak with them early about it and see if they actually want the gig. Do they actually want to be your successor? I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations. They're like, oh, I want this for my daughter so she could take it over and have a thing. And I'm like, have you talked to her? And she's like, well, no, not really. Just assume. I'm like, don't assume. And then I talk to the daughter and they're like, I don't want this business. I see what it did to my mom. And I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't have to be this way, right? But my point being is you need to talk to them early on, and everybody needs to be on the same page. All of the leadership needs to be on the same page. Okay. So if you want someone to be, if you have some successor in mind, you need to speak with them early about it. And then you should start being, really leaning into the training, the mentorship, and sharing with them the team and how does the manage, like how do we manage each employee and what are their love languages, all those sort of things, and starting to really delegate and step back and really letting them start to leave, if possible, lead as much as possible before you actually leave. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if we're following along here. I know I'm like diving into kind of heavy topics today when we're talking about creating a legacy, but I want to make sure everybody's good here and understands like these are the steps that we need to take to ensure our business legacy lives on. Okay. So give me a thumbs up, some hearts, a like, a something, so I know that you're following along here in this topic that we're sharing today. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I got some likes. Okay. So my friends, this is what we're going to do. I'm glad everyone's following along. Okay. So this is how, my friends, we let our legacy live on. This is how we let it live on. We have to plan for the future. Okay. We have to create a succession plan. We have to set up our business to run on its own. And then that's how we let our business and our legacy live on. Our pebble turns into a ripple, turns into a tsunami. And so before we leave today, I want to make sure that everybody knows that the Studio Accelerator Bootcamp is officially open. And this is our 10-week program that solely focuses on visibility and marketing to increase your enrollment, increase your retention, and grow your studio. And so if you like more information about that, you can drop the word bootcamp below if you want. And we will get back to you and talk to you about the Studio Accelerator Bootcamp. But my friends, it is where so many of my studio owners who work with me start out at. I only run it once a year at this time, and we will be kicking off September 20th. So this is all of the strategies that you need to accelerate your growth when it comes to the marketing, the visibility. We dive heavily into the organic, which is non-paid marketing. And then I talk about how to layer paid on top of it, but we want to start with a really great, solid organic strategy. And that's what we're going to do. And so my friends, if you have questions about the Studio Accelerator Bootcamp, feel free to drop the word bootcamp below. And I have to tell you that next week, you have to come and join me for another episode of the Erin Bird Live Show where we are celebrating the 100th episode. And I have something special planned up my sleeve for y'all. So I'm going to leave you there. I hope that you all have a fantastic day. And I will see you all next week for the 100th episode.